Vandeham Shri Guru
Nityananda avadutendu Vasudha prana vallabha Janava jivitapati.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Hare Krishna today. Today we have a very special topic that we will be discussing. As we said last week, tomorrow is the appearance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So in celebrating that wonderful festival, today we'll be discussing the identity and one of Nityananda Prabhu's most prominent qualities, the quality of compassion. Nityananda Prabhu appeared in a village called Ekachakra in West Bengal, India in the year 1434 AD. His parents' names were Hadai Pandit and Padmavati Devi. And it's described that he was a very beautiful personality. Anyone who saw him was immediately captivated. He had a glossy blackish complexion, tall, strong, heroic stature like that of Cupid himself. He had beautifully formed hands, legs, and arms. His eyes were like lotus flowers, and he wore a blue silk cloth around his waist, and a silk turban also. He had golden earrings and golden armlets. He wore a garland of forest flowers around his neck, and his beautiful body was decorated with sandalwood pulp and markings of tilak. That is this marking that we have on our forehead. His movements, it is said, surpassed the gaits of even a lion, so confident, and he was more beautiful than millions of moons. So such a great personality, with such exquisite beauty, cannot be an ordinary person, and so we'll discuss his identity. His name, Nityananda Balaram, indicates his identity immediately. He's an expansion of Sri Balaram from Krishna's Leela. Krishna and Balaram, we know. So that Balaram became Nitai. It is said that Lord Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. As you can remember, last week we were discussing the identity of Sri Advaita Acharya, and we said that he's an expansion of Mahavishnu. And while describing that, we described the source of Mahavishnu, and that source is Sri Balaram. Krishna expands into Balaram first, and then from Balaram, all of these Vishnu incarnations come forth. So Balaram is not an ordinary person. It is said that Balaram is non-different from Krishna. What does it mean that he's non-different from Krishna? Krishna is called Bhagavan. Bhagavan, according to Parashara Muni, is someone who possesses 6 opulence in full. Those 6 opulences are all power, all beauty, all knowledge, all renunciation, all wealth, and all faith. Lord Balaram possesses all of these 6 qualities also in full. Every quality that Krishna possesses, Lord Balaram possesses that quality to an equal level. So there is no difference whatsoever between Lord Krishna and Balaram. There are only 2 differences, in fact. Those differences are, the first, in their color. Krishna is bluish blackish, and Sri Balaram is the color of a new spring cloud. That means he's whitish in complexion. It's described when Lord Nityananda was just a small baby crawling around in Ekachakra. People thought that it was like a soft cotton ball just floating in the air. That was how beautiful his complexion was. The second difference is in their mood, and this is the most important one. Krishna, he is in the mood of accepting service. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of accepting service. But then, he also needs to teach us how to do service. Because we are his children, he has to hold our hand and show us how to do things, how to crawl, how to walk. So like that, he expands as Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram is described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of giving service. So Krishna accepts service, Lord Balaram gives service. But both are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, equal in all respects. We can see Lord Balaram's mood of service is depicted every time he comes with Krishna. In Treta Yuga, when Krishna came as Lord Ramachandra, Lord Balaram appeared as Lakshman. And how deep was his mood of service and love for Sri Ramachandra. He didn't need to go to the forest. A wife naturally follows her husband out of love, but the younger brother in our society today doesn't necessarily love the older brother as such. Lakshman could have stayed back and enjoyed the kingdom. But instead, he chose to go with Lord Ramachandra to the forest, walking barefoot, his feet bleeding because of the hard rocks. He was a prince, had soft feet. He would walk ahead of Ramachandra and Sita Devi, clearing the path so that their feet wouldn't get hurt. He would arrange food, arrange shelter. He didn't sleep for 14 years. That is the mood and level of Sri Balaram, Lakshman's service. Another expansion, when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, Lord Balaram, his brother, as an older brother, expanded at so many things. He expanded as the Dham, Vrindavan. Dham is a word used for holy places in Hindi, in Sanskrit. He expanded as Krishna's shoe, as his peacock feather, his bed, his flute, his cloth, everything. And it's described that as Mahavishnu, when the Lord becomes tired, the Lord on whom the entire universe rests, is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 7. Krishna says that everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So, and the entire universe that rests on that Mahavishnu comes from Mahavishnu, from his pores. When that Mahavishnu wants to rest, he lays down on Ananta Shesha, which is another expansion of Balaram. The word Shesha means everything that is left. And what is the mood of Lord Balaram? He serves, and if there is any service that is left, he will do that also. So Lord Balaram is an amazing personality. Such an amazing personality. And that amazing personality came as Nityananda Prabhu. When the Lord came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 532 years ago, Lord Balaram appeared as Nitai. There's a popular bhajan in our Vaishnava culture by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, one of our great revered acharyas, that he's saying that Rajendra Nandana Jay Sachi Suta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Rajendra Nandan Krishna came as the son of Mother Sachi, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Balaram became Nitai. So we, the Jivas, are very insignificant, and our position, our identity is Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas. Means the Jivera Swarup, our real form, Swarup, is Krishnera Nityadas. Means Nitya means eternal, Das means servant, and Krishnera, of Krishna. So we are the Jivas, or we, our eternal position or identity is that of an eternal servant of Krishna. But our only desire while we are in this material world is to enjoy. And how ironic it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Nitai, Balaram, his only desire is to serve. He can create. He is the source, he is the cause, the effect, the maintainer, the destroyer, the everything. He can create whole universes just by his blinking. But that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nitai, just wants to serve. And his one desire, his only desire, is to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the most loving, unconditional way possible. This love and unconditional service is not understandable by us, mere jivas. We can only see his beautiful pastimes and qualities, worship him and pray for the qualification to possess such qualifications. We are not even qualified to possess the qualifications, but we can pray for the qualification to possess the qualifications. It's a very intimate subject matter. Now, we'll discuss Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and Nityananda Prabhu's most prominent quality. It's described in a bhajan, very popular bhajan. As you may all know, our deity, and you saw in our intro, our deity Gaur Nitai that are on our altar, the forms of Chaitanya and Nityananda that are there, they are referred to in a very special name. Shri Parama Karuna Nitai Gaurachandra. What is the meaning behind this name? This name is a very special name, and it comes in one of our bhajans. Parama Karuna Bahu Duijana Nitai Gaurachandra Sabhavatara Sara Shiromani Kevalananda Kanda. The writer of this bhajan, Sri Lochana Das Thakur, says that these two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, are very merciful. Parama Karuna, utmost mercy. Nitai Gaurachandra, Nitai and Gaurachandra, Lord Chaitanya. They are the essence of all incarnations. Sabha Avatar Sara Shiromani. And their special significance is that they introduce this process of chanting that is simply joyful. Kevala Ananda Kanda. There's another bhajan by the same author in which he describes Lord Nityananda as Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai. Lord Nityananda, he's never angry, and he's the personification of supreme transcendental bliss, Parama Ananda. And what is the definition of bliss? I don't know if anyone ever wondered, but I checked it up on Google, and according to Google, the definition of bliss is perfect happiness or great joy. Another alternate meaning is to reach a state of perfect happiness oblivious to everything else. So we know that this material world is called Dukkalayam and Ashashvata. And what does this mean? It's not necessarily, it's good news and bad news. Dukkalayam means that Krishna says that this world is Dukkalayam, which it's a place full of miseries. But it is Ashashvatam, that is temporary. So you don't have to worry. Whether there is happiness or distress, it is temporary. Distress doesn't last forever. Happiness doesn't also last forever. And even when we get happiness, there is also a tinge of some unhappiness that is there. So what is perfect happiness? we can't even realize that. So Lord Nityananda, he comes to show us this. The bhajan continues. Adhama patita jiver dware dware giya. From door to door, this Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Nityananda, comes to the residences of the most fallen. Each one of us, wretched souls, and freely distributes Harinam, the names of Lord Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Holding straw between his teeth, he begs us to chant this holy name. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is doing such things. And who is that unfortunate person, the author asks? Who is that unfortunate person that does not experience affection for such an avatar? So if we are not experiencing affection, then we can pray to the Lord to please give us the qualification to express such affection toward Him. There is a very popular pastime of Lord Chaitanya that depicts His compassion and mercy. And we'll go through that very, very briefly. There were two personalities, Jagai and Madai, who were born in Brahmana families, but due to bad association, they became so sinful that it's described that Yamaraj could not keep track of their sinful activities. That is how sinful they were. They would rape women, they would raid shops, rob people, steal, murder, every single possible sinful act you can think of. They would have performed it. Lord Nityananda, when he sees these two personalities, he turns to his preaching partner, Sri Haridas Thakur. We should approach these personalities, for if we can change such personalities, then the world will see how magnanimous Lord Chaitanya's mercy is. Lord Nityananda was willing to go to such persons to preach and give Krishna prema. He had no business in doing so. He had no reason. Why should he do such a thing? But he does it out of his pure compassion. He approaches them. When Jagai and Madai are he just asked them, just chant Hare Krishna. And they were so angry, they began to run him. And while Lord Nityananda and Sri Haridas Thakur were running away, Haridas Thakur was asking Lord Nityananda, are you mad? How can you approach such persons? They went back the next day again. Lord Nityananda approaches them. And Jagai throws a pot, an earthen pot at Lord Nityananda and bursts his head. Starts bleeding, blood all over his face. When Lord Chaitanya hears this, Lord Chaitanya comes rushing, and as Krishna, he summoned his Sudarshan Chakra ready to kill Jagai. But Lord Nityananda, out of his pure compassion and mercy, begs Lord Chaitanya, no, they haven't done anything to me. Actually, they were aiming somewhere else and it just accidentally hit me. What is the use of this Sudarshan Chakra? He expressed to Lord Chaitanya, if you're going to kill Jagai and Madai, then you need to kill everyone in Kali Yuga. But instead, this is not our business. We have come here to give Harinam. So, by Lord Nityananda's mercy, Jagai and Madai became such wonderful devotees. Everyone in Nadia, in Navadvip, West Bengal, were totally fascinated by the change that came to these two brothers, Jagai and Madai. They were so humble that because of their sinful activities, people were naturally angry with them. They would stone them. Jagai and Madai would pick up back those stones and go to those personalities and give them and say, throw it again at us, we deserve this. That is the level of their humility and their transformation that came about due to the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So Lord Nityananda, he is the ocean of transcendental mercy, and he is the only person who we can take shelter of and be at ease. It is said that this world, this material world, is described as samsara dava nala, like a forest fire. This material world torments us from all sides with miseries. But how do we pacify this fire, this forest fire of material nature? Is there another bhajan by Srila Narottam Das Thakur?
Koti Chandra Shushitala Chichayai Jagata Churai Inonitai Pinepai Radha Krishna Paitenai Rita Kori Tanuni Pai.
So this bhajan, the meaning, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are the shelter where one can get the soothing moonlight of not only of one, but millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. And unless one takes shelter under the shade of Lord Nityananda's feet, it will be very difficult to approach Radha and Krishna. If one wants to actually enter the dancing party of Radha and Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda, he is the shelter by which we can get relief from this burning fire of material existence. It is also described Lord Nityananda signifies Guru Tattva. He is the original Guru, and our spiritual masters are representation of that Guru Tattva or Lord Nityananda. Our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he, in the mood of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, brought Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and Harinam, the names of Lord Krishna, to our doorsteps at the age of 70, crossing the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, experiencing 2 heart attacks. Why? To save us out of compassion and mercy. Srila Prabhupada could have stayed in Vrindavan and lived his life and go back home, back to Godhead. He didn't need to come here, but out of his mercy and compassion, he comes in the mood of Lord Nityananda. And Srila Prabhupada also comments in one of his purports that real religion is to follow the laws of God. We cannot manufacture these. So Lord Nityananda comes to show us what are the laws of God and how to practice real religion. And Srila Prabhupada's exact quote is that everyone should follow him only, Lord Nityananda, or his orders. And that will make all happy, not only materially, but also spiritually. Both spiritually and materially. By serving Lord Nityananda, abiding by his orders and following in his footsteps, we can become perfectly happy for the rest of our lives. So what does Lord Nityananda teach us? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma and Parityaja. Give up all kinds of religious activities and just surrender unto me. That is real Dharma, that is real religion. But he doesn't say how. He ends the Bhagavad Gita on that note. It is also stated in the Bhagavatam that the supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving service to Krishna, loving devotional service to Krishna. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this devotional service that we are supposed to practice should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. But how? How do we do this? It's all theory. The Lord recognizes that we also need visual aid, and so He comes to give us a practical example as Lord Nityananda. The very name Nityananda signifies, Nitya means eternal and Ananda means happiness. So how can we experience this Nitya Ananda, pure perfect happiness, through unmotivated and uninterrupted service to satisfy the self? And how can we practice this service? Lord Nityananda shows us by his practical example. So on a day like the appearance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, we can pray to him sincerely to bless us with the qualification to relish his pastimes and somehow or the other possess the qualification to practice devotional service onto his lotus feet. And by that process, we can make our lives successful not only spiritually, but also materially, and remain happy forever. The popular saying is to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. How do we do this? Follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and his representatives. So with that, we'd like to end today's session, and we'll go for some kirtan next. But you're also invited tomorrow to join us at 10 a.m. on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, or on Zoom, the information we've provided. Join us at 10 a.m. and also at 6:30 p.m. for 2 programs on Lord Nityananda, glorifying Lord Nityananda. We'll be doing kirtans, we'll have more discourses on the pastimes, and we'll have a beautiful Artik ceremony and beautiful darshan of our most beloved Shri Shri Paramakaruna Nitai Gaurachandra. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.